But the problem with this is that when you create such a culture, as much as we have created today, then you wonder why people don't want to work. That's not what I need. What do we need all that money for? Why do I need to go look for a job to make a lot of money when I can live on a government paycheck and I can live in a government house, when I can live on things like that? We want to create opportunity that will change that, or else that can overwhelm the society, the government. Yes, you can tax when it talks about the wealth distribution, because just like some people and some philosophers and some thinkers and some psychologists and some philosophers, yes, I said that before, now have always been talking, and I bring it to the secular world, because we're talking about one, being able to receive the abundance of God's blessing, being able to engage and have opportunity for a better life. The blessing God had already given to you will not come to you if there is no work and no deed attached. Faith without work or deed is in vain. You cannot be walking around and expect the abundance of God to come to you when you know the Lord himself have already given you an instance in the book of James in chapter 2 verse 14 and 17. Faith without work is in vain. You can't just be walking around and thinking that, oh, wherever I see food I eat, wherever I see I lay. That's why you have people now sleeping on the street. Homelessness skyrocketing in some cities and in some places, because they have no desire for any of these material things, which is good, because living in that simplistic life. But being simplistic life doesn't mean you can live like a bushman. When you want to go to the toilet, you do so on the sidewalk. Then people get into misery and live in such a miserable manner. And then where are you going to enjoy the abundance of God's blessing? Because they have created this culture that is suffering today. We're looking for workers. You can't find workers because nobody wants to work. And even the higher people, they come, they don't want to work. They just want to come sit down, have conversation, and just at the end of the day, they go home and expect to be paid. There is no fairness. There's no equity. There's no production. In order for somebody who has employed you, have also an expectation of the amount of work you should do. Just like they cannot hold your wage, you cannot hold producing for them, whoever is employing you. And if you are employed and you are given an opportunity, you must be able to bring something back to the person who have given you that a chance, so that you get some more, not to squander it. So while we are praying for God to bless you, also you yourself have to take some steps, because in the real conversation of it, people talks about, I don't know if any one of you, maybe here in America is popular, but beyond the 80-20 ratio, the 20-80 ratio. They define that in the world that poverty plus inopportunity completely equals violence and illegality. If I may speak in the secular sense, in a secular world. I just gave you the book of 2 Thessalonians in chapter 3, from verse 1 to 6. If you don't work, don't eat, then why should people not work and expect to eat? Is that proper? Is that right? As the soldiers. Of course, that is not expected. That is not expected. From verses, now we command you, brethren, in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that you keep away from every brother who lives an unlawful life, and not according to the tradition which you received from us. For you yourselves know how you ought to follow our example, because we did not act in an undisciplined manner among you, nor did we eat anyone's bread without paying for it, but with labor and hardship we kept working night and day so that we would not be a burden to any of you. Not because we do not have the right to this, but in order to offer ourselves as a model for you, so that you would follow our example. For even when we were with you, we used to give you this order: if anyone is not willing to work, then he is not to eat either. For we hear that some among you are leading an undisciplined life, doing no work at all, but acting like busybodies. They like to gossip and slander and sit down. I've been talking about the concern that I have when I drive around in the cities and in the places and I see people on the sidewalk. All they do is chat and talk and joke and play and dance and things like that. And I say they don't know better. Or maybe because of the product of their own environment, that have no interest in investing in such youthful life and is being wasted. The kind of leaders that we ask. So we're going to pray for the leaders that will see this kind of thing and know that this can be resolved and can be cured, because one can invest in them and see a huge resources, human resources being wasted on the streets, on the life, living only by food. Where they see food, they eat. If they don't see food, some even drink and get into drugs so that they will not be hungry because they have no food to eat. Some commit crime so that they can go to jail and at least have a place they can lay their bed in their bunk bed. That's why a lot of people commit crimes, so that they can have a place, a home where they can go and work out and eat and get the best health care, because there is no prospect for future. So, as a soldier, you should be careful about people that you put in the position to lead you, to avoid creating such a society that is being copied by a lot of countries around the world, because everything we do in our country becomes a role model for other people. Poverty plus inopportunity equals to violence and illegality. And I was saying this because there have been some prophecy behind, talking about what I've seen in the future.